Welcome back to Talking Giants presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. And Danny King is joining us because it's our annual over-unders episode. How many categories do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 11 categories this year for the over-unders this year. Last year, the unders hit a lot. So we looked smart on the unders. And the overs, we looked really bad. So this year, we're changing some yards per game up and stuff. But we're back from our vacation week. Justin, how you doing, my man?
Bobby Skinner, hello, how are you? I am wearing a David Wilson jersey. Danny King, hello, how are you? First off, I want to thank Wesley Westicles, Wes Locke, and Danny Behan. They helped us secure, before anything goes to the general admission, general public, we have secured our training camp tickets. This is why we have the best community out there. Thank you to our Patreon members. Thank you to Danny Behan, Wesley Westicles for helping us get those secured. And this is one of my favorite episodes of the entire year because we really get to kind of plant our flag in the ground and say it with our chest. This is our takes. This is what we think is going to happen. So I really like this episode. Danny King, hi.
Guys, how's it going? I don't have a David Wilson jersey on. I have a Mets jersey on, so bad guy move for me on a Talking Giants stream. But you know what? It doesn't matter. But yes, I do love the over-unders. It's always fun. This is also when, feelings are still high. I'm still optimistic about this team, even though I might say under on some certain stats. But I do love this episode. It's definitely a top episode of the year.
I'm wearing a West Coast street racing jersey, so how about that? So we'll get into these over-unders in a second. But we've been gone for a week, so we got a few people we got to catch up on for our Patreons. We got Greg Kimaluka. Actually, we said Kimaluka because I made the Luka's gonna juke it joke. This one, Anthony Isidori. That's Snacks' brother.
Yes. Oh. Yes, it is.
How about that? Tommy Bailey, Tommy Boy, and then John Gentile. He is not a Jew. He is a Gentile, even though John is one of the most famous Jews of all time.
Wow.
Justin, who are these Gentiles?
You can join Anthony Isidori in parking and myself in parking lot L16 and L17 for Giants tailgates, but also you can join us by going to patreon.com/talkinggiants for $2 a month plus some other tiers. You get to hang out, and I'm just going to say it. I think it's the best community of Giants fans out there, especially if you're hanging out in the live chats with us as we record shows. Really excited because we're going to win some games this year, so I'm really excited to celebrate Victory Monday early with some people when we actually win on some Sundays this year. So you get to hang out with us live when we win some games this year as we record the shows. Plus some other benefits, patreon.com/talkinggiants. Thank you to our awesome community of people. We love you.
Let's win some games. I mean, training camp is literally 2 weeks away from when you're listening to this podcast.
Does it feel like it?
No.
As soon as we first record that first PPP episode, which we'll probably do on Sunday, we pre-record them. We pre-record the first weeks about a week out.
Yeah.
That will definitely feel like it.
Okay.
When we start talking about Sterling Shepard's, in the slot on the outside stats, that's when it will feel like it for us. But let's get into these over-unders. Justin, Danny, I didn't write down all the over-unders from last year, even though I did listen to the pod this week to see where we went wrong. We have I know you tweeted the offensive one, Justin, but the defensive ones aren't on there. But as always, we're going to start with the quarterback, Daniel Jones, third year doing these over-unders, and we're going to start with Daniel Jones for, the fourth year as a New York Giant. He is the Giants' starting quarterback. So, for passing yards per game, we're doing per game this year because we don't want to have to have to deal with injury conversations too much, even though there is some totals that we'll have to talk about it with. So we're doing 235 passing yards per game. That would be a 4,000-yard season if he stayed the whole season. He has done that once out of his 3 years. In 2019, he averaged 250 yards per game passing. And then the last 2 years, 210 and 220. Justin, are you going over or under for Daniel Jones?
I'm going over.
Any explanation?
Yes, I do have an explanation. I thought you wanted to throw it to Danny. 5 out of the first 6 games last year, Daniel Jones hit this over. Now, the Giants' offense, yards-wise, was actually one of the best offenses in the National Football League. We've talked about this time and time again. On a yards per drive rate through the first month-ish of the season, they were like top 5 in the NFL. So that's a rate that they probably weren't going to continue throughout the season. But through the first 6 weeks of the season, the Dallas game was thrown in there. And that's the game where Daniel Jones basically missed the entirety of it because he had that head injury, concussion, whatever you want to call it. So 5 games where Daniel Jones played the entire game, he got that over 235 passing yard mark. And I do think we're going to be throwing the ball a lot this season. And I think we're going to be throwing it when it matters, not just throwing it in garbage time, not just throwing it in the third and the fourth quarter when we're down by 10 points or more. I think there's going to be an emphasis on early down efficiency this year, and it's just going to help Daniel Jones, help this offense set themselves in spots for success. So I'm going over.
Yeah, we didn't put any crazy numbers out there for Daniel Jones this year, and we went, we kind of did his career averages. I'm going over on all the Daniel Jones's stats this year. Again, he had 250 yards per game in 2019 with Nate Soldiers as left tackle, Mike Remmers as right tackle, and Darius Slayton as the wide receiver 1. Have things improved around him? Absolutely. I'm really excited to see how Mike Kafka runs this offense with the mix of him and Brian Daboll's offense. Like you said, they are going to pass the ball. They have weapons, and they have different types of weapons. You have Kenny Golladay. You got Toney, who can do a lot of different things. You got Shep, who I don't know if we're relying on this year, but whatever. You got Wan'Dale, and then obviously the tight ends. Daniel Jones has never needed like that speedy tight end. You look at with Caden Smith. That's when he had like the most success thrown to the tight ends. So yeah, I'm definitely going over on the Daniel Jones stats this year. Danny.
I'm going over on the passing yards per game, as like you said, he's not under Jason Garrett's horrible scheme, which just really did not utilize Daniel Jones' ability to throw the ball deep. It was always short stuff. I do believe we'll see an improvement with that, and we all know Daboll and Kafka, however they design this offense, it's going to be a pass-heavy offense. So I think, Daniel Jones over on the passing yards for as long as he's healthy, because I treat Daniel Jones more as long as he's healthy type of player. He'll go over on that.
Yeah, and again, these aren't like crazy numbers. It would be on pace for a 4,000 yard 4,000 yard passing season if he played 7 games. And I want to look at where this would rank. If he averaged just 235 yards per game, that would rank him.
Remember, it's 17 games too. We're not just talking on a 16-game season anymore.
Yeah.
And when he was with an aggressive offensive coordinator, Daniel Jones dominated with Pat Shurmur in 2019.
And Danny, I hate to do this to you, but Pat Shurmur wasn't like an aggressive coordinator either. And the Giants' like explosive play offense, it was still slightly below average in 2019 too. So we're talking about a scheme that actually should be aggressive. I think a lot of it is going to have to be determined on, can Daniel Jones make the throws? Can he make the reads? Can he make the plays? Because he's not Josh Allen. He's not Patrick Mahomes. We've already established that. But this is a scheme that is going to take risks. That, yes, Pat Shurmur took risks, but I think took risks that Daniel Jones was very comfortable with. Whereas this year, I think those risks should be a lot more, and hopefully it'll actually pay off more than what Pat Shurmur did in 2019.
And again, you don't need to be gunslinging it like crazy to get 235 yards per game. That would be ranked 14th in the NFL last year, so just right above Ben Roethlisberger and Matt Ryan. So I don't think that's a lofty bar to meet. This past year he was ranked 19th with 220 yards per game. So to expect him to go from 19th to that 14th range, I think that's kind of a low bar. It sounds like a low bar, but again, he's missed it 2 out of the last 3 seasons. So it's, where you really can't put a higher expectation on Daniel Jones.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and obviously, we'll see how this offense looks without Jason Garrett. But again, Daniel Jones was the quarterback under Jason Garrett. So this is what we have to go off of the last 2 years. All right. Daniel Jones passing touchdowns. Just so this is including, you do have to factor in injury with this. 22.5 for this season. So if you took his 2019 touchdown rate and just played the 11 games that he did this past season, he would miss this by half. Danny, are you going over or under on this?
I am going under because I'm operating under the impression Daniel Jones will not play the full season this year because he just hasn't proved he can stay healthy. Now, obviously, all his injuries have been like freak accidents. It's not like he clearly, because in 2019 he had the guy landed on his ankle in the Packers game. 2020, I don't remember what he missed what his injuries in 2020 were.
There's another foot, ankle,
another
knee,
foot, and then
body.
obviously 2022 there was the freak head injury, but obviously he came back like the week later. But then he had the neck thing that held him out for the rest of the season. Daniel Jones just can't stay healthy, and obviously I just don't think if you can't stay healthy, I don't think he'll be able to break the over under we set this touchdown thing at, which is 22.5. And I mean, like, I just can't rely on Daniel Jones to stay healthy. I think he'll have high passing yards per passing game numbers. But I just don't think his touchdowns will be up there because I don't think he'll be able to play a full season.
So I agree. You do have to factor in injuries with Daniel Jones. He's missed games, if you count college, all of the last 4 seasons, and they've been different injuries. So you have to factor in injury. But I don't know if he's going to miss 6 games again, And I think playing 13 games, he should be able to get over this, Now, that being said, if you put him at a full game rate the last 2 years, he would have missed it. If on a 17 game rate the last 2 years, he would have 15 touchdowns and 13 touchdowns. So misses this by a mark, but it was pitiful. But obviously his rookie season, he was on pace for 34 touchdowns in a full game slate. So I don't know if you can fully expect him to have that, that 2 touchdown per game stat. But I do expect him to get over 22.5 passing touchdowns. But this one is a little harder than the other 2, because it's okay. Where are these touchdowns going? How many is Kenny Golladay getting? How many is Sterling Shepard's getting? So I am going over. I'm not expecting a huge over, but I am going over on this. Justin, what do you got?
And Bobby, that's fair to say that, Daniel Jones may get hurt this year, but is he going to miss 6 games? That's a good point. But think back to 2022, not 2022, 2020, and then TOO. Think back to 2020 where he came back from injury and he basically just couldn't operate until the final week of the season against Dallas. So it's when he gets injured. If he is going to get injured, well, when does he get injured? Does he get injured week 13, week 14, and then miss the rest of the year? Does he get hurt week 3, week 4, and then he's out, and then he comes back, and then what does he look like until he's fully healthy? So when he gets injured, or if he's going to get injured, like when does that happen? And for me, week 11 or week 12, basically when Daniel Jones plays 11 or 12 games, that's like the sweet spot. That's like I'm circling that date in that game with like a red pen, with red marker, because that's in 2019. Pretty sure it was through 11, 12 games or 11, 12 weeks. And then last year, 2022, it was through 11 games that he got hurt. So that's what I'm circling this year. If we were including rushing touchdowns and this was just a 22.5 over-under for total touchdowns, then I would say this is easy over, regardless of if he gets hurt or not. But because this is passing touchdowns, I do feel like this just becomes, do you think Daniel Jones is going to be healthy or not? I am going over. I am going to go over.
I do get the concern from 2020 when he came back, but that wasn't Jason Garrett's offense. But you look at 2019, his first game back from injury, 5 passing touchdowns versus Washington. In college, he came back versus Virginia Tech, was throwing the ball all over the field in that game. That was one of the games where the drops were just like disgusting. Like Daniel Jones was putting dimes in that game. I think that's where he had his longest air distance throw, which he was under pressure on that one too.
No, but just being aware that, Daniel Jones is a psychotic, tough son of a bitch. He's gonna want to come back even though he's not fully healthy. So considering that, not even just the games that he plays, but the quality of player that you're getting in that game.
That's another thing I am wondering, because obviously this is all about passing touchdowns, but I do wonder, because most of the times Daniel Jones gets injured, he is a mobile quarterback, and it always comes with him running. I do wonder.
It's been on a design run every single year.
And I do wonder if maybe we see a cutback on those design runs to try and keep Daniel out of harm's way, because we know he doesn't know how to slide properly, and we know he just doesn't care about his own well-being. Because
I hope we don't, though.
He's a dog.
I know it's been on designed runs, but I hope we don't, because you're limiting the potential of not just him, but you're limiting the potential of the offense, especially when it comes to third downs and the red zone. Like Josh Allen has 6 to 8, 9 touchdowns every single year on the ground, and he is a weapon in the red zone. Daniel Jones is not a tank like Josh Allen is, but I mean, when did he run over a guy versus Atlanta during the 2-point conversion? This past year,
it was a defensive tackle, to be fair.
So I think that can be an added element to this Giants offense that kind of does desperately need red zone efficiency.
If he can learn how to slide, I'm all in.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to learn how to slide. He just needs to
know when to slide.
Yeah, he just needs to not take unnecessary hits, which, he's like, in a sense, too much of a competitor. In fact, when we were putting together the best of podcast, Danny, that was something we talked about. And with, the post-draft episode is like something I love about him is like, this dude will fight for every yard. He will not go down, for any sack, but it's like, I love that about him, but I also want him to, pick and choose his battles. So that's something that's reigned true with Daniel Jones throughout. All right, next on this, Saquon Barkley. This has been a contentious one last year. Last year we did total yards. We did 950 total yards. We all went under. This was the one that people had the most issue with, and he went well under. Say, well, he missed some games. Well, if he played 17 games, he still would have been under by 200 yards. And again, we were accounting injury. We weren't expecting him play 17 games last year. But we're changing it to yards per game this year, and we're doing 70 yards per game. 2 of his 3, healthy seasons, we're not going to count 2020. He would have hit this number. His rookie season, he had 81. His sophomore year, he had 77. And then this past year, 45. So a big drop off. But he's definitely, when healthy, able to do it, and able to do it with a bad offensive line. So I am still going under, though. I am still going under because I think this offense is going to pass a lot. And I think Brian Dable and Joe Shane, or maybe not Joe Shane as much, but Brian Dable and Mike Kafka, guys who didn't draft Saquon Barkley second overall, they see him for the talent he is, but they're also like, let's get him more involved in the receiving game. So I think there's going to be a big effort to get Saquon, out in space in the receiving game a little more. Like, he's still obviously going to be the lead back carries wise, and it's not like you got between the tackles guy behind him and Matt Breida. You have a guy who's very similar, like a speed guy. But I am still going under. I don't think it's not going to be 45 yards per game. God help us, don't let it be 45 yards per game. But I am going to go under on this. Justin, are you going over or under?
Yeah, I'm going under as well. And I honestly did think that you were going to go over. And I mean, even let's just do it like this. Let's say Saquon Barkley plays 14, 15 games this year. So 65 times 15, that's still a respectable 975 yard rushing season. Maybe not respectable based on your expectations for Saquon Barkley, but at least my expectations for Saquon Barkley, that's a respectable season. Devin Singletary averaged 51 yards per game last year. Zach Moss averaged 26.5 yards per game this year. So you probably figure that maybe Matt Breida is going to average a little under 26.5. Devin Singletary, I don't know if Saquon Barkley is going to make a 20-plus yard per game jump to Devin Singletary. He is better than Devin Singletary, but I don't think it's going to be that drastic. I partially include not just throwing the ball more, which I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but according to Sharp Football Stats, the Giants this year, they are projected to have the 4th most difficult schedule when it comes to facing run defenses and producing explosive plays. Saquon Barkley has not been known to be a running back to be efficient on a down and down out basis, so I think he's going to have to rely on those explosive plays to really get that 70 yards per game. Can Saquon Barkley be efficient on a down and down out basis? And also, how does Brian Dable and Mike Kafka want to attack the Giants offense on early downs? Do they want to center it around Saquon Barkley, or do they want to center it around Daniel Jones throwing the ball? I think it's going to be Daniel Jones throwing the ball, so it's going to be tough for Saquon Barkley to get those consistent opportunities and 70 yards per game. Because they may look at Saquon Barkley as a running back saying, you're not efficient, you may not earn these carries, you're kind of banking on the explosive play potential, so we'll go for you when we want that. That's why I'm saying under.
Danny, get the dogs off us. Are you going over or under?
I'm going under with you guys. I mean, Justin, like how he brought up the Bills running backs, I'm not going to be willed to that. I looked at that as well. I was like, Bills didn't really run the ball on Bobby. I think you said the best I was going to do it. Giants could be passing the ball more, and I think they want to use Saquon more in that receiving game because he could be good in the receiving game just as well. Like, that could be another weapon he unlocks headed into his walk year, so I won't be willing to point anymore. Under on Saquon's rushing yards per game.
But I do think it's a huge question, and this will, Bobby, we'll talk about this on the PPP, but how much more of an efficient running back is Saquon Barkley going to be this year? That's really the thing that determines if this is over or under, in my opinion, because I think it's very close.
Well, and part of the efficiency comes down to a little bit of O-line play, too. Like, obviously, has Saquon been the guy that hit the hole and pound it? No, but also he's had some bullshit in front of him for essentially his whole career. You know, when the run team got good at 20, he wasn't there. So you have Thomas, you have Evan Neal, Shane Lemieux. You know, he should be a solid run blocker. Glowinski's a decent run blocker, and then Feliciano not so much. So it's how good is the offensive line? Like, honestly, I think this is an offensive line stat. If you feel comfortable running behind this offensive line, no matter who your running back is, I think it's over. But it's just, well, again, this is a Daniel Jones stat too. Like, how much are
how much
passing?
do they pass
Brian
the ball, throw
Daboll's
the ball?
Been known for getting away from the run at times the past couple of years, but he's also had Josh Allen. So
Yeah, and Bills fans they've been mad. Like, we know the guys from Cover One, and you know, we've heard from them that Bills fans have been mad in the past about over how often they've chose to throw the ball. Now, before Brian Daboll's a bit of transformation after he found out how good Josh Allen was, the Bills offense, they were very run heavy in 2018. So I don't think it's not like it's not in Brian Daboll's DNA to not run the ball. But when you combine Kafka, Daboll, and seeing how cool Josh Allen is, I just don't think they're going to fully go back to that.
Right. All right, if you guys want to bet on overs and unders and crap like that, the action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer. With tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports, you can fuel your fandom. Wow, freaking fuel. I'm wearing a card shirt. Fuel's at an all-time high. And feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. What? That's right. Make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot to cash in. Gosh, this is just too good to be true, but it is true. You can throw down on all the major action for baseball, golf, MMA, and more, and preseason football. I think I might bet on the first preseason football game because I'll be in New York. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and props, your betting options feel endless. So I know, you know, bet on the All-Star game too for MLB. Like that's fun betting. Like the MLB, Major League Baseball. I think we may have done this on the freaking last pod. They do the All-Star game better than any other sport. It's the only thing that they do better than any other sport. The rest
I agree with that.
Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. But they're taking away. We talked about how cool it is. They get to wear their own jerseys. They don't get to wear their own jerseys this year.
I do like the jerseys though. It's
black
and gold.
Jerseys. Yeah, and I think National League's white and gold.
You
That's
use
awesome.
those for the home run derby, and everyone's out there
That's fair.
wearing those in the game. You want everyone wearing their own jersey, and especially when you know a lot of people only watch the All-Star game. Like this is when you get to know players. I'm gonna be wearing national. Like I want to know, you know, what team this guy plays in, and you got to beat it into my head. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code JOHNBOY. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code JOHNBOY only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Bobby, that was a great segue into that promo. By the way, it was fantastic.
It's too freaking easy. I mean, this is the easiest segue of the year. Is the Over Under podcast.
It was perfection.
All right, next on this list, and I struggled with this one. Kenny Golladay, 5.5 touchdowns.
I did not struggle with it
I did not struggle.
because this was the most feel one out of everything.
Okay, so
Honestly.
part of you can be like, hey, we might get the Golladay that we signed back, you know, with this new offense. So all right, so are you guys in a struggle? Justin, what did you go, over or under?
Over, because
Oh, wow, and you didn't struggle with it?
no, because I'm bullish on this Giants offense, man. I'm just bullish on it, and I'm saying bullish as in like I think the Giants offense is going to be average. I'm not saying they're going to be top 10, but I think watching an average Giants offense, and this is dating back to 2016. You know, watching a Giants offense being average is going to feel like such a relief, and it's going to feel so fun. So Kenny
Okay.
Golladay will be part of that, and over 5.5 touchdowns.
Danny, are you going over or under?
Yeah. Oh, over. Easy.
Boom.
I'm blown away that you guys were talking about like, oh, this was an easy one, over for a guy who had 0 last year.
Yeah,
It's not easy.
It's not. Here's the thing. I was like, man, he had 0 touchdowns last year. Then it dawned on me, no Jason Garrett. Maybe Kenny Golladay will actually have the ball thrown to him this time. That'll be a plus. I
People
think
forget
Dable and
Kenny
Kafka-
Golladay hated Jason Garrett more than anybody.
Yeah, honestly. And I think Dable and Kafka will be like, look, we have a number one wide receiver here. And obviously, Kenny Galladay's not like the greatest number one wide receiver in the world. He's overpaid. We all admit that. Even though we were all excited when Kenny Golladay was first signed, he's definitely probably not worth the contract he got. But there is just no way. I just refuse to believe he does not have a big bounce back year this year under Brian Dable, Mike Kafka, Daniel Jones, or Tyrod Taylor, whoever is the quarterback in the long run. I decided to throw in Tyrod Taylor because I love backup quarterbacks. But that's besides the point. Kenny Golladay, 5.5 over.
I have a question for you guys. Trivia. Danny King's on the show. We're doing some trivia.
Oh.
Kenny Golladay in 5 seasons, how many times has he went over on 5.5 touchdowns?
Ooh, I know this. It's
once or twice.
Once? I think it's once.
Once.
It's once. It was 2019 when he led the league with 11. And injuries comes into play with that. So I'm going under. I just struggle with this because this number I feel like is going to be right at it. I think it's going to be 5 or 6 what he ends up with. For one, the only once in 5 seasons. But somebody will go over this number on this Giants team. That is what I will say. Someone's going to go over 5 touchdowns, but I don't think it's going to be Kenny Golladay. One, Daniel Jones really sucks at the end zone fade. It's probably the worst thing about his game is the end zone fade. Now Kenny Golladay is going to get touchdowns this year. He's not going to have 0. I guarantee it. But I think he's going to get 5. I think that's going to be his number. You look the last 2 years, the team leader in receiving touchdowns, Ingram with 3. The year before, Shep and Slayton both had 3. And then in 2019, Darius Slayton had 8 and Golden Tate had 6. So I think this offense is going to spread it around, especially in the red zone. I think instead of throwing end zone fades in the red zone, I think we're going to hit slants and we're going to have, orbit motion and we're going to, try and hit guys on in stride. And Kenny Golladay is going to get that bracket coverage. So, someone's going to get it. But I don't think it's going to be Kenny Golladay.
Do you think another wide receiver is going to get it?
Yes. I don't think it'll be like Bellinger.
Ooh, I think it's going to be a fun PPP right there.
Speaking of which, I know he's gone. Rest in peace. The last 2 years, the Giants' receiving leader had 3 touchdowns. Or like the touchdown leader, receiving-wise. Caden Smith, in 6 games as a rookie, had 3. Bam! So again, Pat Trimmer doesn't just affect Daniel Jones when we talk about, or Jason Garrett when we talk about Jason Garrett. Like, it affects everybody.
Yes.
All right, here's one of my favorite ones, and I'm just telling you I'm going over. Kadarius Toney, 58.5 receiving yards. That would put him. That would be a 1,000-yard season if he plays 17 games. In games where he actually played, so I cut off the first 2 games last year, he had 52.5. Overall, he had 42. I'm going over. And this is yards per game. I think Kadarius Toney is going to be the best wide receiver on this team. I think he's going to do awesome in this offense. Kadarius Toney, with the most obvious words in Giants Twitter, if healthy, is going to be a star for this Giants offense. A star for this Giants offense. Like, I love his game. I think he's going to ball. He can do so many things, and with the ball in his hand. Over. Justin.
Ball's got to go somewhere, and I don't think Shepard's going to be...
That's another part of it. You can't rely on Shep this year.
No, you can't.
Any year you can't, but especially this year.
No, I especially to start, don't think you're going to be able to rely on Shep. So if Shep is there, because him and Daniel Jones, no matter what the offense is, just seems to have like this connection. So if Shep is not there, the ball has to go somewhere. And I think you saw that in the New Orleans game. You saw it in the Dallas game. The ball has to go somewhere when Sterling Shepard is not on the field. And Kadarius Toney was the guy where the ball went to. Even saw in the Atlanta game. I think that was the game where Shep went down in the Atlanta game. And Toney got some catches and he got some yards after the catch there. But this offense also is going to be so much predicated on yards after the catch. Think of how good Toney was with the ball in his hands after the catch last year, and even some of the advanced metrics will show it. Yards after the catch over expectation. Toney met the minimum requirements to qualify for volume. He was top 10 in the National Football League in yards after the catch over expectation. And that was in an offense that was the worst at yards after the catch out of all offenses in the National Football League. So it's going to be helpful that he's going to be playing in an offense that helps his skills and helps his strengths. I'm really hammering this over because we kind of have to.
Bam. All right, Danny, what are you going, over or under?
Yeah, it's over. I'm with you. I think Toney's going to be really fun to watch this year. I think I think this new coordinators group is just going to have a fun time working with Toney, and all those off-season trade rumors he had swirling around his head that were made up. I'm just very much looking forward to him just absolutely shoving it.
Speaking of which, did you guys listen to the Beat Reporter Roundtable on Jordan Renan's podcast?
No, I want to.
I did not, no.
So they asked them, what's the storyline you're looking for? Pat Leonard was first. What does he say?
I don't know.
Will Kadarius Toney be on this team? It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, Pat.
I mean, he's sticking with his guns, so I mean, good for him. But man, you're just.
Next on this list is the only one where I don't have my answer written down already because I'm going back and forth on this.
Ooh.
And that's Wan'Dale Robinson with 35 catches.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some stats to see where I got to this number at. Last year, the Bills, who had a pretty good passing offense, their fourth leading receiver, who was Gabriel Davis, by the way, as reception-wise, had 35 catches. Last year, the Giants' third leading receiver reception-wise had 36. I'm going to let you guys go first. Danny, what do you got over-under on this?
I have over on Wan'Dale Robinson, 35 catches. My thinking is, obviously, I think Wan'Dale will get playing time as the season goes on. But the other thing is, in my mind, I think the most obvious trade piece on this team right now to a team that might need a wide receiver at some point this season is going to be Darius Slayton. I think Darius Slayton, in my opinion, might be a tradable piece in a team that's man, we don't want to spend big on go big on some wide receiver. Maybe they bet on the upside of Darius Slayton. I just don't think Darius Slayton's a giant for the whole year. And then I think Wan'Dale Robinson will then almost kind of fill his role in on the catches he might have gotten. So that's my mindset. I think Wan'Dale Robinson would go over 35 catches. Even if Darius Slayton is here, I still think he would go over. But I just operate on the impression I don't think Darius Slayton's a giant the whole year.
Can I tell you guys something I'm pretty pissed off about?
Tell us.
That if the Giants just cut Darius Slayton flat out.
I wouldn't want that.
I'm worried about it.
I'm already pretty pissed off about it. It seems like one of those things, new regime, we want our guys.
I heard Richie James is a guy.
Get this Richie James bullshit out of my face. I know it's going to get freaking put. I know it's going to be fed to me. Oh, he looks good in camp. Fuck you. Darius Slayton should not be just cut to save $1.8 million. Okay. And even if he doesn't have again, I know he's probably not going to have a big role in this team if everyone's healthy. But one, no one's going to be healthy. And again, Darius Slayton has led this team in receiving 2 of the last 3 seasons. 2 of the last 3 seasons. Had 8 touchdowns as a rookie. I know stuff. I know. And again, I'm not saying, oh, Darius Slayton's actually great. I'm not. He's been bad. He was very bad last year. He was a bad wide receiver last year. But if you don't think Slayton's going to get at least a little chunk of change after this year and get the Giants back a comp pick possibly or something, if you want to trade him, that's fine. It sucks that this is the way it ended. The best day 3 pick of Dave Gettleman doesn't even finish his contract. But, I'm pretty pissed off about that.
Why does it seem to always work out like that? Best day 3 pick of Dave Gettleman, and then the best free agent signing of Dave Gettleman, just not on the team. Yeah, but I'm with Danny. I'm going over because I think that if there are injury problems at the wide receiver corps, which is likely, then Wan'Dale's going to be the beneficiary of those reps. I don't think this is a regime that's going to be hesitant to play these young guys. So I don't think they're going to force feed somebody else to get reps over Wan'Dale. This was a 2nd-round draft pick. It's not even. This is their early 2nd-round draft pick. Go out there. He's going to get over 35 catches this year.
And that's the other thing, as like Justin said, he was a high draft pick, so they clearly believe in him.
So that's the thing that makes me go they drafted him for a reason. Banking on Shep's health is not something you should do at this point. He will get some, what's the word? Manufactured touches.
Yes, that too. Now, I will say, I was actually reading something from the Cover 1 guys today. The Bills ran screen plays at the 11th highest rate this year, but they executed them very poorly. Now, this is why Kafka is fun, because I think the Chiefs, this is just eye test, just the theory. Chiefs actually ran those screens well. So I'm going to be interested to see how that actually looks in the Giants offense this year when you combine those 2 guys.
I'm struggling. Here's the thing: part of me wants to go under, but I also know that like if someone's like, "How are you going under?" I'd be like, "I don't really have the best reasoning." But I also don't just want to say fucking over on everything.
And
Let's see.
I know. I feel like I feel like a fraud saying over.
Right now, I'm over, under, over.
The wise man once said, "Life's too short to bet the under."
That is true.
You know what this is going to be?
Uh-oh.
A coin flip.
Oh, we got a coin flip.
Inside of the cap, under. Outside of the cap, over.
Ooh.
Over!
Even the cap knows. Life's too short to bet that damn.
I mean, it's really going down to the wire. Justin, read a freaking ad.
Whoa.
Yes. So this past weekend on Sunday, I took the trip and I paid for a dinner with my lovely mother, and we went to Bear Burger in Westfield. But there's not just a Bear Burger in Westfield. There are Bear Burgers everywhere. There's one in Hoboken. There's one in Montclair. There's a shit ton in New York, including Brooklyn, Broadway, everywhere. Something for everyone. Yes, even you. Yes, we're a burger joint, but we aren't the type to be bogged down by labels. Our menu is filled with options for everyone, regardless of dietary preferences. Whether you're 100% vegan or you think ketchup is a vegetable, we won't judge. At Bear Burger, there's only one dietary restriction you'll be limited to: food that's made to taste great. Huge selection. If you like to have a drink or two, huge selection of drinks. I got the bison burger this past weekend. If you're a fan of blue cheese, if you're a fan of adding a little something sweet to your burger, if you're a fan of some exotic burgers, Bear Burger, they got it. Not just your conventional burger joint, but they have a shit ton of different options of burgers, and I loved it. 12 to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday. I was an idiot, and I didn't go Monday to Friday to experience their happy hour. So I really enjoyed my burgers at Bear Burger. Fries were really good too. I want you to click the link in the description to find yourself at your favorite new happy hour spot, burger joint, and luncheon. Go to Bear Burger. Tell them I sent you, even though they won't know who I am. But just tell them I sent you.
I know where I'm going after training camp now.
There you go.
Yeah, Bear
Danny.
Burger.
Montclair, that's pretty close to... That's somewhat close to MetLife Stadium.
That's good.
Yeah, we got to go
happening.
when I'm up there. 2 weeks. 2 weeks
It's
from
happening.
today.
Also, wait, did they say ketchup is a vegetable? Is that a debate people have?
I guess.
I'm just
They won't
curious.
judge, though.
Well,
So.
Tomato is technically not even a vegetable, even though it is a vegetable, but it's technically a fruit. So how could you call ketchup a vegetable?
Yeah, it's,
All right, let's hit the defense.
Oh, boy.
We're starting off with the 5th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. Kayvon Thibodeaux, 7.5 sacks. And I want to go through some guys who may be in a similar like draft profile range. Jalen Phillips, 8.5. Chase Young, 7.5. Obviously hyped up a little more. Josh Allen, 10.5. Brian Burns, 7.5. And then I threw our guy Aziz in there at 8. I am going under, though. I don't think Kayvon is just going to come into the league and get 8 sacks his first year. Which, again, I wouldn't be surprised if he does, but I am going to go under on it. And that doesn't mean it's an unsuccessful rookie season, by the way. Let guys grow. But he essentially is walking in as the number 1 edge on day 1. I don't think he's going to surpass 7.5 sacks. I think he'll get 6 or 7. So I'm going under. Danny.
I am also going under. Like Bobby said, there's a lot of pressure on Kayvon. He's basically number 1 edge. There's also there's nothing serious, obviously, but I read the hip injury thing. I'm not saying it's anything, but there's just already something there, and I got bad thoughts in my mind that what if Kayvon might be forced to miss a little bit of time, and he just won't come into the league and dominate right away. There's going to be a growing phase because, like, even though he's one of the best edge defenders in college, it's a totally new ball game now coming to the NFL, so he's going to struggle for a little bit.
I have under.
All right, under. Any other explanation behind that?
This is the one that I struggled the most with because part of me, like, thinks that he easily can do this. You know, because this is the 5th overall pick. This is
there's
Wink's,
no doubt he can.
This is Wink's defense that is very predicated and centered around pressure. The closest to a kind of pairing, this could be a wild take. The closest to a pairing that Wink Martindale had as like younger edge rushers was Zadarius Smith and Matt Judon in 2018. I think Terrell Suggs was still floating around in 2018 too, so that's a pretty damn good third edge rusher, even at the end of his career. Giants certainly don't have that same quality of tier of an edge rusher, but guys getting 10-plus sacks, 9-plus sacks on a consistent basis was rare in that Ravens defense. So, especially for Kayvon, it being year one, wasn't even a guy to get these double-digit sacks. Bobby, I don't even think he got double-digit sacks at Oregon. I think the most that he had in a single year was 9. So I'm going to say under, even though I hate it. And Kayvon Thibodeaux had 9 sacks in 2019, 7 sacks in 2021. So he didn't even get double-digit sacks in college.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean he's going to be bad.
I don't feel dirty saying under on this.
No one should.
He's a rookie. And I think it comes down to that. Now, a guy who's not a rookie and who did go over 7.5 sacks as a rookie is Azeez Ojulari.
Wait, but hold on. Before we move on. Kayvon, I don't want Kayvon. I want Kayvon north of 5.
Yeah.
In that range. We are. He is the 5th overall pick, and I am kind of expecting performance this year. Yeah, you don't have to come out here and set the world on fire, but see something.
Also, it depends how you play. Like let's be real. That's why. Again, the whole idea of sacks not being the best indicator, even though the top guys are always going to get sacks. Sacks. So sacks do matter. Your sacks, your sack stats, per season do matter. But if he's out there winning battles, consistently, it's like, hey, the sacks just haven't really come.
Yep.
It's different. But again, if he's not, if he plays the way Aziz did last year and has 4 sacks, then it's a little disappointing.
Correct. Yeah, Aziz was a guy that didn't get the consistent pressure, but he got the sacks, which was cool.
And I know I said growing pains, and I still believe that, but I, like you said, I don't expect these growing pains to last very long.
These aren't O'Shane Ximines growing pains. These are so O'Shane Ximines over under 9.5. No. Azeez Ojulari 7.5 sacks. He got over on that last year, and guess what? I'm doubling down. I know sacks don't repeat every single year, but I am going over. Azeez has gotten a little bigger, man. Like I'm a little excited. We talked about how young he was when he came out of the draft. Add a little power to that game. He was able to finish plays last year. They're going to bring pressure. I really think Drew Wilkins and Wink Martindale are going to do a lot for Azeez Ojulari, who's a hard worker. He's going against Evan Neal and Andrew Thomas every day in practice, which that is an underrated, advantage, for edge rushers. I'm going over. Daniel.
I'll be honest. I'm not sure. Obviously, I don't know Justin's answer. I am going over as well. I do believe that Justin's answer might be known based off a reaction he just had. But I do believe Azeez Ojulari, like Bobby said, he's bigger, and I think Wink Martindale might have fun with Azeez. And I didn't even know he was going up against Evan Neal in practice, and so these guys are just getting better and better. These are just absolute goons going at it every day in practice. Azeez, give me that 7.5 over, baby. I love Azeez.
Justin, tell us why you're under.
No, I'm going over. I hate that we're agreeing. Bobby and we've agreed on every single over-under. I think, Danny, you just said under for Daniel Jones passing touchdowns. So we're agreeing on every single one. I think Azeez is going to have...
we didn't agree on.
Oh, Golladay we didn't agree. Okay. I think Azeez is going to have like a Montez Sweat kind of projection. I do think Sweat is a better player, but Sweat's had like bigger. Double-digit sacks in his second year. He had 10 sacks, and I think Azeez can kind of get close to that. I also hope Azeez gets more pressure on the quarterback on a consistent basis, but even if that doesn't happen, I still do think Azeez is going to be one of these players in the NFL that does find a way to get back to the quarterback every single year. And I do think the Giants are going to get 40 sacks this year, which 40 sacks last year would put them like 15th, 14th in the NFL, which I think that's a fair expectation this year. Last year, they had 34 sacks, I believe. Somebody has to get the sacks. I think there are going to be a lot more secondary players that contribute in the sack department this year. But I still do think that Azeez is going to get over that 7.5 sacks. So on the road to 40 sacks, Azeez is going to contribute for at least 8.
All right, next, we're hitting sacks again. 3 sacks on this podcast. Leonard Williams, 6 sacks. He's done that 3 of his 7 seasons. He's done that in the NFL. Justin, are you going over or under for your boy?
I have to. I have to go over.
I'm about to say.
I have to go over. This was actually tough, and I would not be surprised if it is under.
Should we even put out a graphic? Because I don't want everyone being like they agreed on everything.
We may not put out a graphic because we're all just agreeing. How about this? We could put out our each individual graphics. How about that? So Julian will make 3 different graphics and we can publish it on each of our pages.
Make
there we go.
Work. We love
That's
that.
how we finesse, baby. It's how we finesse. But yeah, I'm gonna say over. The only thing that's interesting is that I don't know if Wink Martindale, outside of Calais Campbell, but Calais Campbell was very old at the tail end of his career. I don't think he wasn't the same quality of player that he was in Jacksonville, where he had that late career resurgence in like 2017, 2016-ish. I think Leonard Williams is the most talented interior defensive lineman that Wink Martindale has had the pleasure of working with. And I think Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence is without a doubt the most talented pass rushing duo when it comes to interior defensive linemen. So how they contribute to pressure, how they contribute to sacks, that is going to be very, very interesting to see and follow this year. Because there are years where you look back on the Ravens and you see their sack totals. There are years where you see strong safeties and interior linebackers. They're like up there and like leading the team in sacks, and they're like top 3, top 5 in sacks for the team total for the Ravens. Because there's Dexter Lawrence, but we're talking about Leonard Williams, because there's a guy like Leonard Williams here who does have a little bit of a pedigree of getting sacks, how is he going to be used? What is his numbers going to look like? So even though there's a track record of interior defensive linemen not getting a lot of sacks in Wink Martindale's defense, I'm still going over 6 sacks for Leonard Williams this year.
People will flinch when you talked about like, oh, Leonard Williams is better than Calais Campbell. They'd flinch, but he is. Leonard Williams is a better player than Calais Campbell right now in their careers in the NFL. And that's not a shot at Calais. Like, at the one
I think
point,
Jacksonville Calais Campbell, like,
Jacksonville Calais, he's defensive player of the year.
He's one of the best players in the NFL.
But
I'm
the
talking
last
about
2 years
Baltimore.
with Baltimore, no. Leonard Williams is like clearly a better player than Calais Campbell, which isn't a knock on Calais.
Yeah.
So, but there's obviously, because of his contract, there's a lot of anti-Leonard Williams stuff. But again, he's done this 3 out of his 7 seasons. This is going to be a defense that blitzes more. Now we're going to have some 2 edges who might actually help out their defensive linemen in the sack department. Where QBs aren't going to be able to buy time like Teddy Bridgewater, and Leonard Williams will be able to finish some more plays. And again, he's done this 3 out of his last 7 seasons, both the past 2 years, I think.
And he also was on pace through the first half of last season before he kind of suffered his season-ending injury that he played through. Through the first half of the season, he was on pace for 8 sacks last year. So it wasn't a great season, but wasn't a bad season.
22 or more pressures every single year. That is really good numbers. Like every single year of his career, he's had 22 or more pressures. That you don't see that for defensive tackles. So, yeah, I'm going over too. It's not going to be his 2020 11.5 season, but I think it'll be like 6.5. Danny, over or under? Come on, disagree with us, pussy.
I am disagreeing with you. I am going under, actually. I'll be honest. It's a gut feeling with this one. I just don't think. I know Wink Martindale's gonna be blitzing more, but I just there's something in my gut right now that's telling me Leonard Williams will not do 6.5 sacks, and I wish I could give you a better reason why I'm going under, but that's legit the reason. I just don't believe he can do 6.5 sacks this year.
I mean, it's a good question on where is the pressure going to be generated, because I kind of did like a mock of constructing 40 sacks of the Giants defense. 24 of them come from the edge rushers. 9 of them come from the interior linebackers, which I think that is pushing it. 10 of them come from the interior defensive linemen,
9 from the interior linebackers? Yeah, that's way too much.
So 10 from the interior D line and then 5 from the secondary. There are going to be a decent amount of secondary sacks this year. I'm telling you right now.
There'll probably be more secondary sacks than inside linebacker sacks.
Yeah, so I mean that's fair. So that could be split a little even. But in terms of construct, do this little exercise on your own. Try and construct the Giants' road to 40 sacks this year. And it's going to work out maybe a little bit better than you think. But I think part of it is giving Leonard Williams, and I think it just makes sense for him to get over that 6 sack mark, even though you could ask yourself and you could have that theory of where is the pressure going to come from, it usually doesn't come from up the middle in Wink Martindale's defense.
All right, speaking of sacks, Danny, can you do the Roman ad?
Oh,
guys,
wow.
I want to talk to you for a minute here. Bobby, Justin, the people in the camera right now, are you looking at me? Look me dead in the eyes.
I'm not looking at you.
That's disrespectful because I care about you guys. I really do. I want you to feel confident and to prioritize your health and relationships because if you're ready to do that for yourself, I need y'all to start with Roman. Roman, we all know Roman. I'm the Roman guy. That's what it is. That's me. What's going on? Roman swipes are clinically proven to help you last longer in bed, and we all know everyone's striving to do that. Lasting longer in bed, that's what everyone strives to do. PE treatments are safe, effective, and used by millions of men. We all know PE. If you got PE, there's nothing wrong with that. It happens to the best of people in this world. It happens to the best of people in this world. But I want you to help you fix that. And with Roman, no prescriptions needed. No prescriptions needed, and free 2-day shipping. You get a free 2-day shipping. That's great in this world. Shipping sometimes can be a little dicey. Roman can get a free 2-day shipping. So what I need you guys to do right now, you and the camera, look at me again. We're having this conversation again. I want you to go to getroman.com/world today. If approved, you'll get $10 off your first order. That's getroman.com/world. I'll say that one more time. I'm going to say it a third time. getroman.com/world today, because I care about you. We're all family on this show. Even though I might not know you personally, we're family. The Talking Giants family. So getroman.com/world today. It'll make you better in the bed.
Better in the bed.
That's a Dua Lipa song, by the way.
Better in bed. Better in the bed?
Good in bed. Good in bed. And imagine man or woman playing Good in Bed to you.
These kids' music sucks.
Whoa. Don't go out and do it like that.
Next, Xavier McKinney, 3.5 interceptions. Danny.
I'm going to go under. I like Xavier. I think he'll be a great piece for this defense, but 3.5 interceptions, I ain't jiving with him. Which is probably a mistake if I'm being honest, because this Giants secondary is just it's gonna be a work in progress to get this thing, I think, to be a threat in this league. But I think 3.5, I ain't feeling. I think Xavier's gonna be more of that sprint around the type of field guy, deflect passes left and right. I think that's gonna be more of Xavier's role.
So Xavier could possibly become a guy who, like, hey, I'm going to get picks every year. But 4 interceptions is a lot for a safety. You lose Logan Ryan and Jabril Peppers. So there's two good safeties out there that you lose. I think it's a high bar, even though he did have 5 last year. But I think this defense is going to be different. I think there's going to be less baiting guys into throws, and there's going to be more playing man coverage. Or, hey, this is our weak corner. Xavier, we need you to help out over the top on this guy. So I am going under. In fact, I don't even know if it was 2.5, I might go under. Interceptions are hard to predict, but I am going under for Xavier McKinney. But that doesn't mean I think he can have 2 and have a really great year too. So Justin, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm with Danny King, and I'm with you, Bobby. I'm going under, but I'm with Danny King, where I'm always looking at that passes deflected category. If he can get above 10, that's awesome this year as well. The leading interception getter for the Ravens since 2019 has been 4. Anytime there has been somebody leading the Ravens in interceptions, it has been a corner, and it has been a corner by a decent amount. Most years, under Wink Martindale, the leading interception getter on the team is 3. So they're not even getting to 4 on a consistent basis. There was only one standout year where Marcus Peters got to 4. Earl Thomas had 2 in 2019, who is a safety, and Chuck Clark had 2 in 2021 as a safety. So I'm with Bobby. Even if it was set at 2.5, I would be hesitant to say over on that. I don't think I think it really helped that Patrick Graham played that too high system. So Xavier McKinney split the field in half, had to deal with half of the field. So therefore, if there's a guy like Derek Carr who's looking to a part of the sideline, McKinney's able to break on that ball and make a nice interception. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of those plays from McKinney this year that we kind of did see somewhat on a routine basis. You had 2 good corners too. And what was that?
I said, and you had 2 good corners last year too.
Yes, and the Giants can't rely on that. So it's going to be a little tough for Xavier McKinney to get some interceptions, I feel.
All right, let's finish it off. Let's keep this under an hour, and let's talk about corners. Team defensive passing yards. I put it at 4,165, which is 245 yards per game. How I got to this number. Last year, the Ravens were ranked 32nd with a little over 4,700. Giants were ranked 15th with a little over 3,800. I kind of split the ranking in half between 15 and 32nd. The 24th team in passing D last year had 4,165. I'm going over. The corners scare the crap out of me. I think the Giants are going to get the ball thrown them on a lot. And even they're playing a lot of bad teams, so the Giants could win some games, but teams are going to be, they might be leading by 3 points, but teams are going to be throwing the ball. So I am going over. And they're going to, teams are going to come in. If we were doing a podcast, and it's Friday preview versus the Giants, we talk about, hey, this is a game where our wide receivers can really eat and we can spread the ball around.
And it's also, do you want to throw the ball against secondary that could have Aaron Robinson, Darnay Holmes, who isn't good in man coverage, Cordell Flott, and Rodarius Williams, or do you want to run the ball against Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Blake Martinez, and some really good edge rushers? I mean, that's one of those things too. I think the Giants' rush defense is going to be really good this year. Wink Martindale has had some really, really good run defenses in the past, but in 2021, it was the pass defense that was bad that allowed a lot of explosive plays. I'm hoping the Giants aren't allowing a ton of explosive plays because of the bad schedule that they face. And I also hope that Wink Martindale adjusts. But I am picking the over here because I think that teams, they're going to want to throw the ball. And I think they are going to be hesitant to run the ball because I think the Giants' run defense is going to be solid this year.
If the Giants get the under on this, which I'm not predicting, they'll make the playoffs. Danny, over under.
Wow.
It's another agreement, guys. I don't like this secondary, I think they're going to be picked apart. I know for some reason I get the vibe first game of the year they're going to lock down Tennessee, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh, the NYPD is back?" Question mark. It's going to be like the NYPD is back, like it never left. But then they're going to get absolutely. They're just going to get torched. If James Bradbury was still here, I would say under because I believe James Bradbury because he makes the secondary better. This is a young secondary. Adoree's still here, but I don't think Adoree himself can help keep these offenses as a check in this pass happy league. So it's over. Unfortunately, it's over, but it's over.
So I'm going to look. How many did we all agree on? 1.
I hate that we
2,
agreed so much. I like the conversations
3,
that came out of it.
4.
But
it's a little crazy that
5,
people don't know that we actually
6,
exchanged notes. Like, all right, let's all agree.
yeah, we all looked at the
7,
same document.
8 out of 11, we all agree. So
8 out of the 11?
yeah, so we better be right. That's really what it comes down to. We have to be right. So we'll be back on Friday. Not exactly sure what we're doing for the episode. I think we're going to save our mailbag for Tuesday. Maybe I'll try and pull an interview out of my ass. Out of my hat.
Smells.
Appreciate you guys. Danny King, thanks for jumping on for the annual over-unders.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys.
2 weeks away from training camp. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you on Friday. Until then, let's go Big Blue.